Before we get this video started, guys, obviously as you can see in the title, we're in a bit of struggle town. We've got a huge amount of drifting coming up, and it would help support the channel massively if you guys jump onto lakesideco.shop. It's my merch site for the YouTube, and grab yourself a sticker, a t-shirt, a snapback. So I've taken all of the merchandise back in-house now. I'm doing it all myself. So I've taken a bunch of the stuff down, but I do have these blood, sweat and coffee t-shirts on hand, as well as a bunch of snapbacks and a bunch of cool stickers. Helps massively. Even if you just jump on and grab a sticker, it really supports the channel and helps me fix stuff like this so that we can keep drifting. So much build stuff coming up, and I want to keep on smashing videos out for you guys. So yeah, jump on lakesideco.shop. Hello, welcome back to the channel. And today we are diagnosing the issue that we had with the clutch when it let go in the top 4 of last video's competition. And I have Warwick here, the handyman. He drives the Miata that I battled, which was a fun battle. Yeah, I feel like you probably beat yourself more than me beating you.
No, you were faster.
Apparently I was faster, which is mad. That comes down to the simulator, all the simulator practice that I got. But yeah, we're going to pull the gearbox out. So we've got the ZF gearbox here. Definitely not an issue with the gearbox itself, I don't think. It's definitely a clutch issue. I am leaning towards pressure plate has either snap bolts or back bolts out. It was a hectic bumpy layout, so I'm not surprised. It was, yeah, awesome fun though. But yeah, that issue, and then also there's my external wastegate right there. Had a wee issue with that leaking as well, but we've already found out what that is, which is just a loose bolt inside that. All the bolts in drift cars, man, you've always got to check them a million times over. So right now we're going to pull the box. I've already pulled the gearbox. I've already pulled the exhaust off quickly, and now we just need to take the mounts off, the drive shaft off, the 2 bolts holding the gearbox on because that's all I have, and then the box just comes out. Easy as that. Time lapse, go.
Wow.
Alrighty, gearbox is out of the car, and it was nothing, none of the things that we thought it was. This is the pieces of the thrust bearing, clutch release bearing that was in the gearbox. And as you can see, it's knackered. Well, it was, it's gotten the torch for us so we can really see. So, we're not sure what went wrong with it, but this was a plastic one. It was brand new when I put it in.
It looks like the shoulder has got hot.
Yep.
You can see it's melted here.
Yeah.
And I reckon the shoulder's failed.
Just collapsed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it would have been spinning so fast and gotten hot.
On an angle, and then it's just lunged it.
Yeah, lunged itself. It was slowly getting worse over runs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so, I don't know.
I guess it was a cheap part.
Yeah, real cheap. Super easy fix. Clutch itself seems pretty good. A little bit of wear on the plate from where some metal was touching it. Well, I'm going to take the plate off and clean it all, make sure there's no metal behind it. But other than that, like, it still works perfectly fine, so we're going to leave that. I'm literally going to chuck a new release bearing in it and put it all back together. I'm really glad I didn't keep going. I'll do the victory skids now on the day, because we probably would have lunched the gearbox, and that's a really expensive part. So thanks to the magic of YouTube, we now have a new clutch release bearing, and this is how it's supposed to look, and that's how our one looked. So a little bit different. It's kind of the same, just not the same. This one is an Exceedy one, so it's branded, so it should be better than our whatever was in it before. This was brand new when I put it in though. So also shout out to Dan behind the camera. Hi Dan, who's going to help me lift this gearbox, because I lifted it once by myself and it sucked because ZF is way heavier. Awesome, so we're going to throw this in, and in a random turn of events we're going to be able to put this in, put it back together, and actually take the car drifting to test to make sure everything's all good this Friday, which is 2 days away. But you guys have seen in this video for Friday night drifts, which I'm super pumped about. We're doing some Ride with the Pro stuff to help keep it read out, and it's a perfect time just to make sure the car's all good before competition next month. Next month? Yes, we've got round 3 of the South Australian Drift Series. I have missed round 1 and 2, so that's pretty cool. But at least we'll make it to round 3, shout out COVID. Anyway, we're going to throw this new clutch release bearing in. Very simple, follow me Daniel. Just slots into the carrier here. Oh look, he's even got a light. Boom, just like that, push it in, that's it. In and out, oh god, my gearbox fell over. So and the clutch just pushes like that, boom. Love that. So now we can go ahead and throw everything back together. Very simple. What do you think, Daniel?
Let's do it.
Let's frickin' do it. Enjoy watching us struggle lifting this up. Pretty good. Hold up. Yeah. Alright, cool. Skip forward and the car is all back together and on the ground and everything works as it should, which is what you'd expect when all we're doing is swapping over a clutch release bearing. Everything's perfect, clutch is great, gearbox is great, feels awesome. So now what we're going to do is I've pulled off the valve cover, as you can see right here, and what we're going to do is something that I couldn't find evidence of anyone else doing online. I'm sure you guys will tell me in the comments whether you've done it personally or not. But I'm putting ARP head studs, so that's these, into our M52 B25 alloy block motor, right? So these studs are actually made for the cast iron block motor, and these are the head bolts that we usually have in the M52 or in all stock M50 and M52 motors, right? So the bolts, they're stretch bolts, you can only use them once. When you pull them out, you can't reuse them because they're stretched and they won't torque the head down to the proper settings that you need, especially if you're running boost. I reckon you could probably reuse them, to be honest. If you're doing like a crappy budget, whatever NA build, that'd probably work, right? But for boosted applications, absolutely not. Now, I think that the head gasket was seeping last event, perhaps, or that our crappy Mishimoto radiator cap is only 1.3 bar, and it was just allowing, it was basically pressurizing the water and allowing water to exit via this line here. So I had to basically clamp it off, as you can see here, and then I had no more cooling issues whatsoever. Car stayed cool, but it did. These radiator hoses were quite pressurized, which made me think perhaps we were seeping a little bit of boost just minimally through the head gasket. So what we're doing is we're swapping the stock head bolts out for ARP head studs one by one. So I'm not taking the head off, everything's staying the same, we're just pulling one out, putting one in, right? So the difference between these and the head bolts is these you screw down into the head all the way down to the bottom first, and then you bolt the bolt down. So it's a different type of force when you're torquing the head down, as opposed, because what happens in these alloy blocks is they strip the threads when you're re-torquing the head down with the new bolts. If you use bolts, it's not only twisting at the same time but pulling, two motions at the same time, and that's pretty much what strips the alloy threads. And once you strip a thread, you're screwed. You can't use the engine anymore, you have to time set it and put bigger bolts in, and it's just a terrible time, right? So I looked it up, and these are the same thread, the same size and everything, the alloy block as they are in the cast iron block, right? But I couldn't find any evidence of anyone actually using them. But it's a no-brainer to use them, because you thread this all the way onto the block first, all the way down to the bottom, and then you torque the bolt down, and that's just one pulling motion instead of twisting and pulling at the same time. So surely it's 100% better. So I've done 2 so far. Obviously we can't celebrate until all of them are done. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest. But so far so good. And I'm torquing these down to the same specs that I torqued them down to in the cast iron block. And so far it's all working good. It just gives me peace of mind knowing when we take the car out tomorrow, you know, it's going to hold boost and we're not going to have any head gasket issues. And then technically we could wind heaps more boost into this motor now because it's got ARP head studs. So we'll go ahead and we'll get these installed. And just like that, the car's all back together. the ARP head studs are in, and so far so good. I took it for a wee test down the street. Everything seems pretty good to go. So I've done a couple of other checks over the car. Everything seems good. She looks awesome. I love this thing, man. Needs an M3 front bar, but I'll sort that out at some point. But yeah, everything's freaking, I'm just pumped to drive this right now. So we're gonna load up and I'm gonna see you guys at Quarter Park Raceway. You don't need to see me load up. You've seen it 1,000 times, so I'll see you at the racetrack. You. Hey, we're here at the track. It's really loud, but I'm excited. Car's good to go. So I'm gonna head out, do some warm-up laps. Let's go. Sudden back at the factory, and I'm sure you are wondering why. Well, last night we were at the track. I tried to film this at the track, but it was just way too noisy. So here's what happened. When I was installing the ARP head studs, I didn't tell you guys this, but the last one that I was installing, I felt while I was tightening it up, I felt it tweak a bit, and the torque wrench that I was using decided not to click for some reason on the last bolt, and I think, well, I know now that we over tightened it and it ripped the stud out of the block. Thread out of the block, right? And so obviously last night when I went out onto the track, 2 laps in, was feeling good, and then it started misfiring, lost the cylinder and blew the head gasket basically out of the side of the block, which is pretty gnarly. As you can see here, we have milky oil, which is never a good sign. And obviously I called it a night at that point, packed it up and went home, and this is where we're at. This is completely my fault. This is on me. I'm fortunate. I didn't need to put the ARP studs in. This was a completely healthy engine as it was, but I decided to do so because I thought that it would make the engine stronger and better, and it would have if my torque wrench hadn't done what it had done. So it's just unfortunate, but good news is I have another engine that I was gonna build up anyway. So the good news for you guys out of this is right now, not in this video, but in the next one, me and Dan are gonna rip the engine out. It takes about 45 minutes. It's really easy now. Pretty good at it because I've done it so many times. And this week I'm gonna build up a new engine that we're gonna put into it. I'm gonna keep it 2.5 litre. I'm gonna keep it the same power, right? So we're not gonna be doing anything crazy, but I will put it on the engine stand, we'll refresh everything, and I'm gonna put the ARP studs back into the new block, but obviously I'll make sure that the torque wrench is all set properly so that we don't over torque anything. We'll put a new head gasket in it, put a nice engine back together and throw it back in the car. I'm gonna keep it 2.5 litre on 10 pound. I'm gonna keep it at 230 kilowatts because I really like the power that it's making. Feels awesome, super drivable. Obviously we came 4th in the last competition, so a good, ideally this is the engine that we build that lasts years in this car as long as everything goes smoothly. So unfortunate, but it is what it is. Still a good time. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video regardless, and of course we'll see you guys in the next video where we'll be building an engine, and then after that we're going to get straight into this beautiful car here, the 280ZX. I've got so many plans for it, it's ridiculous, including repainting this car, because there are certain things that I love and certain things that I don't love so much about what we did to it with the paint job. Obviously it was the second paint job that I've ever done, and with a car like that I literally want this thing to be perfect. I'm also putting different tyres on, custom flares, and the most exciting part is the full turbo kit that we're going to be doing for it. So really pumped to get into that series. It's going to be very freaking cool. Still a lot of people, new subscribers, pouring into the channel from the 10-minute 280ZX build that we did. So I'm sure you guys will be stoked to hear that there's a lot more 280ZX content coming your way. Thank you guys. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers. Peace.